Hey guys, Comet here. Welcome to episode 17 in my Spaced Out series. Now in the last episode, I got this rocket here up and running so that I could launch Gosman into space and do some orbital research. But now, I need to start working on atomic research in order to complete all of the research trees here. So as Acrophius pointed out in the comment section of my last video, the light coming in from space is radioactive. And I'm assuming that's what this little green hue is here. I've never used one of these generators before. I have no idea how it works. I'm just gonna place it down and see what happens. And then Radbolt Reflector. I don't know what this is supposed to do. Whoa. Oh, so I can make it point to this thing. And then this, oh, okay. So it's like a beam of light. Yeah, I see. Now if I connect that up to power really quickly, I want to try maybe moving this collider up to space, closer to the generator. Let me put this here, I guess. And then the reflector right here, and then I'll put it down at an angle, like that, so it aims into the opening here. I wonder if I can make two of these. Can they shoot over each other? Let's try it. So these generators don't have an overheat temperature, so they'll just melt at the temperature of the material that you make them out of. So I'm thinking, let's see, ceramic or obsidian might be the best materials, because it'll buy the most time. So if you make it out of ceramic, it can heat up all the way to 1849 before it melts and stops working. And if you make it out of obsidian, then you've got a lot more room there. Does this make any heat? No, the reflector doesn't make any heat. But the collider does. I really want to see what it looks like when it shoots this bolt out. If it's like a constant stream, or it's like a laser beam pulse. 49 out of 50. Oh! Oh! That was cool. So Gosman should come over here. Gosman? I forgot, I put her on this relaxed schedule in the last episode. I gotta put her back onto a work schedule. The other thing I want to test, if it can shoot through transparent tiles. So, use some glass, mesh tile, and an airflow tile. Nah, there she goes. While I wait for these to charge up, I need to come back over to this planetoid. I've noticed all of my gas reservoirs here are full, and I still have a ton of sour gas to deal with. So I need to make some more space up here, or actually what I can do, since I have more space over on the other planetoid, I think I might send all the sour gas back. Oh, this is new. Connects to an automation grid to automatically turn gas flow off when the specified amount has passed through it. So this is if you want to send a specific amount of gas, not necessarily maintain a specific flow like the gas valve offers. Is there a liquid version of that? There is. Alright, I guess I gotta test these now. But first, let me figure out where I want to put all of the sour gas. I could put it along here for now. So these are about to fire. I want to see if this one can shoot over this one, and if they can pass through transparent tiling. And that's a no. Okay. It needs to have direct line of sight. Or maybe it's just the airflow tile it can't shoot through. We'll deconstruct these one at a time. So can it shoot through mesh tiling? That's a no. What about glass? Can it shoot through window tiling? If it can't shoot through mesh or airflow, I doubt it can shoot through window tiling. Yeah, okay. It needs to have perfect line of sight. Nothing can be in the way. So I want to try out this gas meter, though, on the sour gas that's coming back over here. And I don't have my snipping tool at the moment. It wouldn't let me load up the game. There's something conflicting with the mod now. And this is kind of new. There's some black outlines around the power wiring, both gas and liquid piping. And it makes everything look really obvious. And almost like three-dimensional in a way. But anyway, back to this thing. Let's see, so this is the output. Sends a green signal if limit has been reached. And then this is, okay, to reset it. And then, whoo. So let's say I want to send 1,000 kilograms through. No, okay, it can only do 500 kilograms at a time. I'm just curious here. So when it receives the signal, once it's sent 500 kilograms, there's going to be a green signal that comes out here. And then maybe I could use like a counter here. Oh, these have to be vertical. Gross. So this increases the counter by 1. This resets it. It sends a green signal when the counter matches the selected value. Okay, so then I could count up in increments of 500 kilograms, and then reset this, and simultaneously reset the counter. I don't need any of this, I'm just curious how this whole thing works. So this is counting up. Oh, I guess I need to set the amount on here. Send a green signal when count is reached. Let's do 2. What's advanced mode? Oh, it's a percentage. Okay. So once this gets to 500 kilograms twice, everything will be reset. That's so cool. And now that I know this generator here can shoot through the one in front of it, I can just line these up and start collecting all of the radiation. Oh, but it's gonna take too much power. They need to be on this power wire here. And this has ticked up to 500. This is counted up by 1. But it hasn't reset this, because this needs to count to 2. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I'll ever find a use for the meter control, but now I know how it works. Okay, so this is gonna really get my atomic research going. I hope. These are actually taking too much power. And another thing I've noticed, my calories are dropping, and as Jason Fuller points out, there's been some changes to food preservation. So over on the Clay forums, we can see all the patch notes here. This is the meter valve I was just playing with. But this is the important part. Food preservation changes. Rottable items now have 2 stages of cooling, refrigerated and deep freeze. Rottable items aren't fully preserved unless they are both in sterile atmosphere and deep frozen. So that means I need to put all of my food into refrigerators and make sure that they're in a sterile gas. And I can't find anywhere how it defines deep freeze, so I might have to just test that in-game. I don't know at what point something is considered deeply frozen. So I'll put the refrigerators back in. This is going to start to draw a lot of power. I should probably then do something similar over here. Oh, I guess I do already have something similar. So if we look at the stats here on the meal lice that's stored in this refrigerator, the change per cycle is minus 3%. So the sterile atmosphere causes a 0% change, and refrigerated causes a minus 3%. So it will still decay if it's refrigerated. So I've done a little bit of research, and it looks like a deep freeze occurs at negative 20 Celsius. So the refrigerator can only get things down to about 2 degrees Celsius, which causes the refrigerated buff, or status on the food, but it still decays. So it needs to be in a sterile atmosphere and at negative 20 Celsius in order to never decay and be perfectly preserved. And with the stuff I have right now, it's not exactly attainable. I would need to make like a vacuum room, or a perfectly insulated room that I could keep at negative 20 inside the base rather than refrigerators. Or I would just need to more closely balance my food production with my food consumption. Because all of these refrigerators are draining the power grid. So I might need to make a separate room specifically only for food, because I don't really have any space in here. I would need a second aquatuner steam turbine setup. And I don't know if I even have anything that can get down to negative 20. Maybe petroleum? I think petroleum can get down to negative 20. Yeah, it doesn't freeze till negative 57. So I could run petroleum through an aquatuner. I could have, yeah, like a food storage room that's kept at negative 20 with carbon dioxide or maybe a vacuum. And then a pressure plate in the base where food can get dropped off. And as I need more food, it can then take it from the food storage room. That way the dupes don't have to go all the way to the food storage room. And then the pressure plate will limit the flow into the base to match consumption, and then any extra can be stored in the refrigerator room. Yeah, I think I like that. Where to put it, though? Maybe up here next to the thermonullifier? Let's see, how cold can this thing get? It doesn't say. Wow, the nullifier isn't even in the database here. There's always the wiki. So it can remove 80 kilodtus per second, all the way down to negative 173. Now if I use petroleum in an aquatuner, that would be its specific heat capacity of 1.760 times its mass of 10,000 grams, and it has a temperature change of 14 degrees through an aquatuner. Let's divide that by 1,000. So, an aquatuner using petroleum can move 3 times as much heat as the thermonullifier. But do I need an aquatuner? So all food is made up of genetic ooze, which has a specific heat capacity of 3.47. Unfortunately, there's no calorie to mass conversion. So I don't know how much mass the grill will be outputting. Oh, here's a metric. Calories per 1 kilogram is 1,800. Let me see if that's the same for barbecue. Calories per 1 kilogram is 4,000. What about meal lice? 600 kilocalories per 1 kilogram. And I want to use the smallest ratio possible here so that the refrigerator is overbuilt. So I have to make a couple of assumptions here. Let's say the food coming into the refrigerator on the rail is a 1 kilogram packet with a specific heat capacity of 3.47. So that's 3.47 times the 1,000 grams in the kilogram. And it needs to be cooled. Oh, I don't know what temperature it leaves the grill at. Oh, it shows you the deep freeze temperature on the food when you click it. Negative 18 for pickled meal. For cooked fish, let me see. negative 18. Are they all negative 18? Yeah, they're all negative 18. So let's overestimate. Let's say it leaves the grill at, I don't know, 40 degrees. Then it has to have a temperature change of 60 degrees. So times 60. This is how many DTUs I'd have to move. And the anti-entropy thermonullifier can't move quite enough. So I guess I'll just start building the refrigerator. This is kind of in a bad spot. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it. So I need some space for the food to be stored. I need some space for the aqua tuner that does the cooling. And then some space for the steam turbines. Now in the cooling room, I'm gonna need some auto sweepers and conveyor loaders. Oh, and this might actually be a good instance of a conveyor meter being used, because I can ship a certain amount of mass of food based on how many duplicants I have in the base, and then have it reset every cycle. Yeah, I like that. So we need a conveyor chute, an auto sweeper, a loader, and then the conveyor meter. But I want this to be self-sustaining, so I need some space for its own power transformer to power the aqua tuner and stuff below it. So let's add another 3 tiles. Okay. Aqua tuner will go in the center. Steam turbine. Power transformer. That will power all of the components here. Now, this room needs to either be carbon dioxide, chlorine, hydrogen, or even natural gas as a sterile gas. I think hydrogen would work the best, because it has the highest thermal conductivity. Now, I don't know if it would be beneficial to put a liquid lock here, or just seal it up. Do my dupes need to be getting in and out of this place? I don't know, maybe they do. So if I do this with a transit tube crossing here, we need to look at the thermal conductivity of this, which is pretty low, 0.15, but mafic tiling is 0.01, so that's 10 times as much heat would flow through this into this room than through the insulated tiling. And I think I would still have enough space for all of the components in here. But the problem is that duplicants would then try to path into here and pick up the food, rather than waiting for it to be rationed out through the meter. Yeah, okay, I can't do this. That means I have to have this room finalized before I seal everything up. Okay, but we'll put in the conveyor chute. Maybe, I don't know. I should have everything sit on top of a metal tile, though. Yeah. Then the radiant piping can come through maybe the bottom of the floor here. Like this. Then it needs to go up to cool off the steam turbines. I can use lead for that. It'll come down into the aqua tuner, and then back up into the turbine room. That will path back down to here. Now the exhaust from the turbine can come down right here. Like that. And I think that should work. Oh, but I need the bypass. Or the buffer. We can hide it over here in this wall. Okay. So this is going to take them a while to build. Hopefully I don't run out of food by then. So I want the food to be dropped off onto the metal tiling. Can run the shipping rail back this way. Connect into there. I need an auto sweeper, which I could fit here. Conveyor loader. And then the meter. And this stuff will run off this way. Now I need to set up a clock here to reset this after every cycle. So the active duration will be only 1%, and it will activate at the beginning of every cycle. So it'll send a quick pulse into the conveyor meter, which will reset it, and then let out the next day's worth of food. So this in here, if it is ever above, let's use the 18 plus the 14 degrees of cooling the aqua tuner has. So that's negative 32. And then if you add another 14 degrees on top of that, we're still within the freezing threshold of petroleum. Getting this to only be hydrogen is gonna be a nightmare. Well, no, actually I could try something here. If I pump in enough hydrogen to the top, it might be able to force the oxygen down through the bottom. Kind of similar to what I do with the water in this area. The water pushes all the oxygen out, but from the opposite direction here, the hydrogen will push the oxygen down. It's kind of working. Just need to get rid of these metal tiles so the oxygen can flow out. Okay, I think I've trapped enough hydrogen here. Let me put the flooring back in. Once Sneaky finishes this off, I think it's safe to seal this up. It's only hydrogen in here. All of the food should get cooled by this petroleum. I'll eventually switch it to supercoolant. I don't need the little capture tiles here. I want to start sending the food up this way. So we've got our first bit of food in here. It says it's refrigerated and in a sterile atmosphere, but it's still decaying because it's not cold enough yet. It needs to get down to a deep freeze. So what I also need to do then is get rid of all of this, and then allow them to put everything in here. Allow manual use, sweep only. And they should throw it all into here. So now this has the deep freeze quality, and change per cycle is 0%. Perfect. So now I need to ship back some of this food here, and figure out how to calibrate this. Let's try 5 for now. And then in here, let's send over all of the pickled meal first. So let me see if this works. There goes some pickled meal. That was the limit, okay. Okay, I think that solved the food problem now with the new deep freeze mechanic. That kind of makes refrigerators obsolete if they don't even preserve food permanently. That means I have to build this entire thing over on this planetoid. Yeah, there's like no food left in these refrigerators. It all spoiled. Oh. I really wanted this episode to be about atomic research, not trying to come up with how to play with the new food spoiling problem. I guess Clay thought it was too overpowered to just store food in a vacuum. What I could do is have all of these duplicants, like I was doing before, they can ship over all of the meal lice, and then I can have a separate rationer here that sends the food out this way. So I'll set this to 1, and it's going to need its own clock here. I'll reset after every cycle. So the way I have this set up here now, the meal lice that they used to be eating over here, I'm having them send back over, because I don't have a chef over here. And then it'll get cooked in here, sent into the deep freezer, where it's then rationed here, between the two planetoids, and then off of this main line I have the food that needs to go specifically to missing dot Solito being pulled off by this meter here. So this is set to 2, and this is set to 3. And I might need to change these a little bit if I find I'm sending too much or too little food. But all of the food in here is staying nice and preserved. Now I can focus back on atomic research. How far has Gosman gotten on this? Not even close. Do I have the extra power to spare? I do. Let's get a couple more of these going. Just watch it suck my batteries dry. See, the atomic collider overheats at 75, and this is currently 67. I'm getting close to the overheat temperature there. And then I also saw this thing. This is new. The Botanical Analyzer. Identifies new seed subspecies. I think this is part of the Peculiar Plants update. New plant mutation system allows specialized crop development. Yeah, here's the Botanical Analyzer. That's really cool. I might have to check that out in the next episode. Now, I've run out of pickled meal, so I think the next thing I'll tap into is my stored up gristleberry. And gristleberry, if you look here, to support 12 duplicants, I'd only need to send 6 gristleberry per cycle. So here, this is 6. And then off to the other planetoid is 2. And then the other 4 will go back into this space over here. Then I'll set this to gristleberry, and not pickled meal. So each food type has a different setting for the conveyor meters, because the mass to calorie ratio is different for each food. But we're over halfway on the very first atomic research I queued up, back at the beginning of the episode. These things take so much power, so I've had to limit myself to only 3. So I think once Gosman finishes off this research here, I'll go ahead and end the episode, then maybe do the rest of them between episodes. And I definitely want to look at this thing in the next episode. I wasn't anticipating such a big problem with the new food storage, but I did find a solution. And these new conveyor meters make it so easy. Otherwise, the other option, before these existed, were these conveyor shutoffs. And you'd have to do a lot of math to figure out exactly how much you could send through it per second, so that it would be the same as this conveyor meter with a clock on it. And this is just so much simpler. These are actually about to melt. They're over 2,000 degrees, and they're made out of obsidian, so they have till, I think, like 2,900, 2,700. And it takes forever for them to charge up, so I think I'll watch these. Once they shoot out their bolt, I'll deconstruct them, put them back. I see why this is taking forever. If these ever lose power, then all of the rad bolts they collected just disappear. They need to have constant power. So that means I think I need to start refining some more metal here, so that I can add more power to the grid. Well, this is something else I just noticed. This shot out a rad bolt. This only has 43. And if I count the tiles between everything here, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then this, it looks like it loses 1 rad bolt for every block it has to travel. So it might be a good idea to put the atomic collider as close as possible to the generators, so you don't lose anything. And I'm having a really hard time keeping these powered. So I think what I might have to do, I hope I don't have to do this, instead of having all these over here, I can put just enough generators here to keep the whole gathering oil process and refining the oil process going, but then put the majority of the generators with the Slickster farm included, because they kind of go hand in hand, back over here somewhere, maybe at the bottom of the base, just so that I can get enough power to keep these rad generators going, or rad bolt generators. But that is a lot of infrastructure repositioning, which I definitely cannot get into in this episode. We're almost done with this high-velocity transport research here. Yeah, and this one that just shot off, it's one tile further away from the reflector, and this has 42 instead. So it does look like it loses one for every block it has to travel. But I really want to finish this first atomic research. Gosman, yes. Okay. I'm satisfied now. So that was a little bit of a journey, figuring out all this deep freeze stuff now. But that was just something I had to get done to keep my dupes from starving to death. Unfortunately, I couldn't focus on the atomic research like I said I was going to, but this was just as important. So to quickly recap what's happening here, I'm cooking the food in the grill. I'm shipping it up through this loader into this room here that's kept cold by the petroleum that's flowing through it, cooled off by this aqua tuner. The gas type in this room is very important. It can't be oxygen or polluted oxygen, but anything else will work. I used hydrogen just because it has a really high thermal conductivity to quickly suck out all the heat from this food. And then these new conveyor meters are really handy with the cycle sensor, because you can exactly ration out how much food you want the duplicants to take from this deep freezer over here. And then the cycle sensor just resets it every cycle. So the activation time is at 0% through the cycle, so the very beginning of the cycle, and its activation duration is as short as possible, so it's just a quick pulse that resets it. And then from that line, I have another branch here that sends 2 units of... what am I doing? 2 units of gristleberry back over to this planetoid to keep these duplicants fed. So in the next episode, I really need to figure out a better way to keep all these batteries charged. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of restructuring. These are probably gonna all be moved, well, not all of them, but most of them are gonna be moved down into the bottom corner over here. And I'm gonna have to send all of the slicksters over somehow. That's gonna take up quite a bit of space. I'm pretty sure I want to use this planetoid over here, not only for the oil production, but for the conversion of crude oil into petroleum, once I get a petroleum boiler going. And then I can ship back all of the petroleum to Yakini and burn it off for power. But I think that was decent progress for this episode. If you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing, and if you did enjoy the video, let everyone know by hitting that like button. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next episode.